Chairman, thank you. I think the question brought you to the cedi's stability. You know the cedi has depreciated by over 30%, and it's really a matter of great concern. Can you outline some of the steps you take to stabilize the cedi?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To call the Ghana cedi. The Ministry of Finance will have to play a critical role in anchoring the Ghana cedi. Mr. Chairman, in the shortest possible time, it is our responsibility to make sure we reduce inflation to 8% plus or minus 2, the target band, in the shortest possible time. Inflation, 8% plus or minus 2. And we'll do that through front-loaded fiscal consolidation agenda, expenditure-based, let me put it this way. And when we're able to do that, it will help the central bank, the monetary authorities, to be able to save reserves and be able to protect the cedi or come in to intervene when the need arises. But let me also say that all said and done, that is the short-term measure. But in the long term, as a country, we need to sustainably anchor the Ghana cedi with a number of policies. And then NDC, through our manifesto, we've announced a number of them. First is the establishment of the Ghana Gold Board, so that we can use the gold in a way to bring in the forex, the needed forex to support the cedi in the very short term. Second, as part of our manifesto, we said we are going to revitalize the palm industry and the cocoa industry. We're already in talks with the World Bank to have that and to make sure that happens. I believe the cocoa and the palm industry will also go a long way to support, bring in the needed forex to support. In fact, cocoa had been the mainstay of our economy over the years until recent that the forex is not coming in. We have to do some work, obviously, with the non-traditional export as well. And most importantly for me, we also need to deal with the hydrocarbons that over the last 8 years, Mr. Chairman, the questioner was a former Minister for Petroleum. You agree with me that in the last 8 years, we've not been able to bring on stream any additional oil field. That is a major concern. It's not that we don't have the oil is there. It's not that we cannot get additional forex to support. But we need to be quick. And these are things that the Ministry of Finance will have to play a very critical role. So we will sustainably anchor the cedi by ensuring that these major policies are introduced in the shortest possible time to ensure that we can have a stable cedi. And that's my priority. As I've said, and I've said it so many times, my priority is stable cedi, low prices, and indeed job creation. That is a priority, and I will work to make sure that happens. Thank you.
Now, Honorable, your last question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I heard my brother say that the gold board being set up, and we also know that Bank of Ghana is also having this gold reserve program. So is it a new name for an existing program, or Bank of Ghana will have to halt the current gold reserve program to enable you implement the initiatives in your manifesto? This is just by the way. But my last question is this, my brother. You mentioned that you're going to work very well to improve our revenue measures and increase revenue from the 13.8% or tax to GDP to 16%. I just want to let you know by way of information that is a revenue strategy policy of the ministry, that in the medium term revenue strategy policy, that in the medium term, we're going to take Ghana from the current position where we are to about 20%. And I hope that you find time to look at it, and where you need to tweak it a bit, tweak it and make sure it is implemented for all of us to achieve this target that we have set for ourselves, because at the end of the day, it is the revenues that will accrue to Ghana to enable us to what is expected of us. You also mentioned that you're going to cut the waste. But you know, in the public sector, expenditure composes of, that is my question I'm asking, expenditure composes of compensation, goods and services, and capital expenditure. So when you say you're going to cut the waste, you're going to cut the waste. I'm afraid this is what we have. And unless you want to say you want to rationalize expenditure, but if you say you're going to cut the waste, this is the component of it. Meanwhile, in your manifesto, you also mentioned that you are going to roll out this big expenditure and ticket items.
Honorable member, you answering question. You are not asking question. You are making statements.
I am laying the preamble to answer.
The preamble cannot be a thesis.
Because you will need that, respectfully, Mr. Chairman. What I'm saying is that in your manifesto, you mentioned some big expenditure items. That one, you're going to roll out the 10 billion big push policy for strategic infrastructure, which is on page 24 of your manifesto. You also mentioned that you're going to implement an economic transformation agenda, which is also on page 24 of your manifesto. You mentioned that you're going to implement the Ghana Framework for Industrialization, Revitalization, Support and Transformation, aka Ghana First, which is also on page 37 of your manifesto, and your holy grail, that is the 24-hour economy. So with your position of cutting waste and this huge expenditure ticket items in your manifesto, how do we reconcile the two? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, as for the waste, we'll cut it. And it has to be cut. It has to be cut in such a way that you will not hurt growth and you will not hurt the vulnerable. But we will cut it. Mr. Chairman, I've been in this house for years, 60 years. During this period, I've learned a lot. I learned under Minister and cut it. Mr. Chairman, the question is, the waste benefit only a select few, and then its unintended consequences affect all of us as a nation. It ends up breeding fiscal indiscipline, high budget deficit, financing, and in the end, we've seen the outcome. Haircuts. That's the outcome. But let me say that going forward, I will work with your good selves in an open manner, so that together we can work to save our country. Yes, the Honorable Abena made a point that their medium-term revenue strategy is to increase the revenue from its current level to 20%. I hope that is not taxes, because from 13.8 to 20% in the medium term, 2 to 3 years, is very steep, very steep. 13.8% of GDP to 20% is extremely steep. I'm not saying we cannot, but I will work to achieve it. But let me say that 13.8% to 20% is extremely steep. Have you been able to do it in 8 years? The answer is no. And so, unless it is domestic revenue, which include non-tax revenue, but I can assure you, I'll have a look at all of those. And it is in our interest to increase revenue. And we'll do whatever it takes to increase those revenues. Some of the things we'll do from the expenditure side is the establishment of an independent value for money office, so that Parliament, working with us, will be able to set up a ceiling of government contracts that must go through independent value for money analysis that will be owned by the state. I think that must be done. And it will be the beginning of cutting the waste. And Honorable Abena, I recognize that you've served at the Ministry of Finance for 8 good years. During this period, I know you worked on expenditure, you worked on revenue. So we'll tap into your wisdom. Help us identify some of the waste you may know about so that we can cut them appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Honorable Mahama Shaibu.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Chairman. And good morning, Honorable Nominee, for a well-deserved nomination. My question has to do with investment, the motivation that you have to give to investor confidence. Over the years, we saw major players in our business industry getting out of the country. Now, in the few weeks, however, I've seen some increase in the money market. You have alluded to it here. The available data indicates that the last window of the government treasury bill was oversubscribed by over 2 billion. Can you tell us what plans and measures you have to boost investor confidence? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, from our conversation, particularly with the private sector, a lot of things came out. Distorted VAT regime, the need for us to simplify our taxes, an unfriendly working environment. I believe we need to listen once again to the investing community and the private sector. And in doing so, we'll work with them to come out with a blueprint that will encourage the private sector to boom. From the bond side, I don't know if you meant by the money market side, the bond side. We need to immediately improve our credit rating faster. How do you improve the credit rating? Your fiscal will play a role, and signaling to them that you are ready to do things differently. I've signaled already that we will undergo an expenditure base, strong, front-loaded fiscal consolidation in the shortest possible time, so that together we can send a strong signal to the market, particularly when inflation is reduced. Today, it is very difficult for us to go back to the bond market. But for us to go back there, domestic bond market, I mean, for us to go back there are a few things we need to get it right. Your credit rating and inflation. Inflation today is 23.8, the highest in the last 8 months. And you can see that inflation is inching up. It's inching up by the day. Why has inflation become so stubborn? And I think it's a question we need to ask. And what do we have to do to be able to bring inflation to a target band, A plus or minus 2%? It has to start from the fiscal authorities. And we will start. And we know exactly what we have to do. I need your nod. I need your support. And together, we have a responsibility to do what it takes to fix the economy for the benefit of all of us, particularly the ordinary Ghanaian out there who's struggling. So I'm open, very open for ideas and to listen to you, not only you, but to the private sector and the entire market, to do whatever you have to do. I'm a very lucky man. I come to this job, apart from my personal experience, but I worked under an astute finance minister, the Honorable Seth, who's like a father to me. I'll reach out anytime, and there are a lot of people. And Honorable Abena is here, a sister I know, Honorable Amin, the former past minister. And so, let's see, whatever it takes, we'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now give the floor to Honorable Alassane Umar.
Thank you, Chairman, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Nominee and Leader, congratulations. I have a question on public debt. And I'll base it on the mid-year review, 2024 mid-year policy review. Paragraph 51 stated that the public debt of Ghana is 742 billion cedis as of today. I want to ask you, how do you plan to manage this huge debt? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, we will manage the public debt. I know it's a matter of concern to most of us, but I can assure you, don't be despaired. We'll do whatever it takes to clear the harms that has been created as a result of the debt restructuring. For example, I've looked at the domestic maturities carefully, and you can see that as a result of the debt restructuring, 2025, this year, we'll have to pay off amortization, debt repayment, not interest, 12.6 billion Ghana cedis, domestic. 2026, you have to repay another 15.7 billion Ghana cedis. 2027, you have to pay 53 billion, and 2028, 48 billion. So you could see the harms that has been created. It's frightening and worrying. You have similar harms that has been created at the Eurobond side. You have billions of dollars. This year already we've paid about 364 million US dollars, and others that are coming up. From next year, you'll be compelled to pay every year 1 billion US dollars from the Eurobond market. From the bilateral official creditors, we don't know yet because they've not signed the MOU and all. I recognize the challenges that we have to face as a country. I'm familiar with it. What I can say is that we need to urgently go back to the drawing board to see what we can refinance and what we cannot refinance, and build buffers to take those ones that we cannot refinance. Currently, we do not have buffers to take off some of this debt as and when they fall due, particularly the external side. No buffers. We have to learn from the past. We have to learn from our mistakes as a country. Rambo Setepe once taught me how to build buffers, and his famous sinking fund. When you have the need to save for during good times to take care of eventualities or during bad times. We did the same. To the extent that when we were leaving office, there was enough buffers for the incoming administration to repay the maturing Eurobond. We did just that. Today, it is obvious that we do not have buffers for the external side. For the domestic side, I don't know of any buffer. But nevertheless, and as I've said, don't be despaired. We will manage this debt. His Excellency, the former president, in his last State of the Nation address said that he did not expect the incoming finance minister to default. I want to use this podium to assure the former president that we will not default. We are very much aware of the harms that has been created. It's not palatable. It's worrying. For example, you need to always, every week in, week out, go into the T-bill market and refinance 111 billion Ghana cedis. Week in, week out. 91 days, you have to refinance 51.6. 182 days, you have to refinance 24.6 billion. And 364 days, you have to refinance 34.9 billion. So together, you are talking of 111 billion Ghana cedis in T-bills that you have to refinance. Or probably rover. Aside the domestic payment debt that I spoke about. But we will implement an effective debt management program, and we will establish an independent debt management office. I think I said it earlier. And this independent debt management office will manage our debt better, and going forward, avoid past mistakes. I think that is very important. I think we don't have to dwell too much with the past. The past is behind us. We have a country to take care of. We have citizens that are struggling. And so we'll focus on the way forward and forward march of our people and do what is right. But be assured, we'll manage the debt better.
Thank you very much. Any more questions from Omar? Honourable members, against the ground rules, I've exercised my discretion as the chairman of the committee to welcome a question from Sami Auku, a friend to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to just ask a follow-up question, if it pleases Mr. Chairman, and then I can go on to my substantive. Congratulations, Honourable Nominee. Mr. Chairman, no. Mr. Chairman, we had an understanding. The leader of the minority made a valid point to allow a question from a non-member of the committee. Against the existing protocol, the chairman agreed for the person to answer, to ask a question. It is not appropriate for that person to now say you want to ask a follow-up question before his substantive question. That is not allowed. So go on and answer your question. That is I think the point I'm making to Chairman. That he is allowed to.
Honourable Samia Okuma, you do exactly the same.
Mr. Chairman, basically it has to do with. Chairman, today is Monday morning. Over and over again, I want to assure colleagues in the majority of our fullest cooperation. I am pleading with all of you in the majority. No attempt should be made to intimidate my members, especially the new ones. Honorable Kwame Govins Agboja, you are an experienced legislator. What you just did, you knew the effect of what you just did. When I pinch you guys a bit, then you're all crying, Afenyo. You do that to my members. I've been calm, I'm watching. You try to take the power from the chair, and then when I'm reacting, you say, I'm being like a co-chair. Don't let us go there. We have started a good morning. Tolerate us enough. Be patient. So far, your side have not done the scrutiny. And we understand you are in government. Scrutiny would largely be done by the minority and the opposition. So please, in all humility, if you will be... Yes, no problem. Let me finish. Let me finish. Vice Chair, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I need to finish. I allowed Honorable Govins Agboja to finish.
Chairman, point of order.
Even when I had a point of order, I allowed him to finish. The rule of this game is tolerance. And if you are in government and you still act as though you are in opposition, would have it. Would have it. If your style would be to be attacking me, you would have it. You would have it.
Point of order. Chairman,
if you think that you are still
our side, I've been asking very good questions.
I'm on my chairman. You know, you never gave him. Mr. Chairman, you never gave your vice.
He's completely out of order.
Chairman, you never gave him the floor.
Chairman, should never allow any friend of this committee to ask questions. No, the former chairman never allowed any friend to ask a question.
Honorable Boy, you don't have the floor. You don't have the floor.
Chairman, I would accord every member of this committee utmost respect. And our side will continue to treat all of us here with utmost respect. Colleagues, I'm compelled to make this point. We are here in good faith. The minority has cooperated with chairman for us to get here in good faith. The letter got to us in Parliament. An advert was done. We cooperated for the advert to be placed in the paper same day. We were supposed to start this vetting tomorrow. chairman reached out to me regarding some exigencies. I convinced my side that there is a need for the new government to proceed to form a government. The president needs his team. So let us not obstruct. Let's cooperate. I still have communications asking me, leader, why are you changing from Tuesday to Monday? I am here to do the people's work with my team. This posture of attack on me, colleagues, chairman, with the greatest respect, I will not take it anymore. Even my opening remarks had to receive interjections and point of order. When go and watch Bagbin as minority leader, his opening remarks, let's watch the videos. Let's watch Harun Idrisu. Guys, I don't want a situation where it will be like Markin wants to do this and that. I understand governance. I know governance. And I will support you to form your government. But nobody should make an attempt to use some attacks to frustrate. It won't work. And we are not going to boycott proceedings. As Honorable Governor Abuja once said on the floor, even laying paper, even for him to oppose, he says that there will be chaos. That was his threat. We know what he did to my vice chair. No, it's not payback. I will never do that. I'm not petty. I know what they did to this 67-year-old woman who was then the chair of the appointment committee, our mother. We know what happened. The cameras watched it. So, colleagues, you are now in government. Your duty is tolerance. Tolerance. If you don't want to tolerate us and you don't want to accommodate and you are talking about rules, then we'll also go by the rules strictly. I would end here. Chairman, thank you. And let not,
thank you very much, Honorable
Minority
Leader.
Again.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minority Leader. The presidents are there. We all know that Honorable Joseph Osei Osu, sitting as the chairman of the appointment committee, will never welcome a question from a non-member of the committee. I am using my discretion to allow a non-member to ask a question. I am asking you to ask a question, and to ask a question does not give you room to ask supplementary question before the main question. It's an abuse of the opportunity being given to you. May you proceed and ask your question.
Mr. Chairman, Chairman, wait. No, wait. Chairman, with the greatest respect, I know you are an advocate, you do a lot of cross-examination. You cannot raise your voice on a member. He is a first timer. When he makes a mistake, let's correct him in a manner that would encourage him to enjoy Parliament. He's a new member. Please, with the greatest respect, I know it was not your intention, but knowing you when you get your client in a tight corner, how you deal with them. I beg you, this is not your client. I beg you. Neither is he. So,
Mr. Chairman, honourable member, ask your question.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. But first of all, I did not even make a mistake in the first place. Just for the records, I did seek leave.
Go ahead and ask the question,
and
please.
Once it wasn't approved, then I proceed to my substantive. That's all, Mr. Chairman. And thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the clarity. And I will proceed. Honourable nominee, I would like to refer you to a publication on the 15th of March 2021. And I want to paraphrase because I don't want to miss any word. And I quote, Ghana today, we are complaining that this gambling is destroying our youth. I've read a number of articles on this. I would have thought that the government will come out with a policy to restrict gambling and to even ban it, he said. And this was a quotation attributed to you, honourable nominee. I want to ask and proceed on this. Do you still stand by this position of banning gambling and banning betting and all that in its entirety, or now your position has changed? That's what I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think it's a very good question, and it's an opportunity for me to clarify. Mr. Chairman, I was on a show with the Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, and the contest must come out. The Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, at the time a Minister for Information, I'm sure, had the responsibility to sell a government policy on betting. And he said, I'm surprised you are not bringing that portion. He said that betting tax is being implemented because it is destroying our youth, and that the government is introducing this betting tax the government is introducing this betting tax to deter them, equivalent to a sin tax, so that they will not be staking the bet. I retorted on a show being hosted by Evans Mensah on Joy FM PM Express. I retorted by saying that will not solve the problem. That will not solve the problem because I've read a number of articles, and the article presupposes or suggests that it is destroying our youth. And so if you want to introduce a tax, you have to first look at the elasticities, and as to whether the elasticities will mean that imposing such a tax will prevent the individual or the people concerned from the staking of the VAT, of the betting or not. But I doubt that will. And so if you intend doing that, the best option is to ban it and not to introduce a tax. And I said the tax will not solve the problem. Here we are today. I've been vindicated. Has the tax solved the problem as intended by the government? Big no. I insist that that tax must be abolished. And as Minister of Finance, my first budget, I will abolish the betting tax. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. We don't do that in Parliament. We say here.
No, but they are not.
You have to say that
The next person is Honorable Mama Area.
No.
We're done.
Yes. Mama Area.
I thought somebody was my friend until I was given an opportunity to ask a question. And she started heckling me even before I've asked the question. Congratulations, my leader. My real question was to ask you how prepared you are to deal with the multitude of economic challenges confronting Ghana. But after listening to you within these few minutes, I thought it wise to abandon my question. Because even before asking, you have made a case demonstrating your readiness and preparedness to confront the problems of Ghana with greater expertise and finesse than we have seen in the past. So I have a few questions focusing on what my brother and former majority leader and now minority leader raised in his thesis that he read before we started. Oh, it's very beautiful. Thesis.
Honourable Member, continue. Proceed.
Number one, will you abolish the e-levy?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my position on the e-levy is well known. I do not intend to run from it. I've written articles against the e-levy. I championed opposition against the e-levy. I still stand by them. Mr. Chairman, the e-levy is neither a direct tax, indirect tax, or an excise tax. I don't know how to classify the e-levy as a tax practitioner. Mr. Chairman, it doesn't mean that I do not recognize that the e-levy brings in certain revenue. But the fact remains that the e-levy retards our progress towards a cash-light economy and the fintech. We need to abolish the e-levy. I have said, and I'm on record to have said, that given the opportunity to abolish the e-levy. I want to restate that position, that if approved as part of the first budget, I'll be privileged and I will announce that we will abolish the e-levy as part of our first budget, recognizing my earlier stance and the commitment that His Excellency the President Mahama said that as part of our 120 days agenda, we will abolish the e-levy. We stand by that, and I can assure you the e-levy will go within the 120 days calendar that we've announced. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mama Ayarga. The minority leader and the ranking member wants to do a follow-up on the question relating to abolishing e-levy.
Thank you, Chairman. Chair, my respected colleague and leader tells us that he is aware that abolishing the e-levy would amount to government losing revenue. How does he make up for the loss in revenue?
Thank you very much. Your answer to the question, please.
Mr. Chairman, it shouldn't always be revenue. But why are we not paying attention to expenditure? I think you have a choice of both. Remove the e-levy and replace it. Or remove the e-levy, don't replace it and cut corresponding expenditure. The option is on the table. As minister, I will obviously consider the e-levy holistically and the fact that it's going and look at its impact and assess it appropriately. But my commitment will not change. The e-levy has to go, and it will go immediately.
Thank you very much. He intimated he has a further supplementary question.
Chair, my respected colleague and leader has introduced an important point, and I find a very intelligent one. He says that it's not always about revenue, but expenditure. We are aware of several expenditure lines. These are largely social intervention programs. Is he saying that he's going to do away with some of the social intervention programs to enable him succeed? Or has he been able to identify a particular expenditure line to be able to deal with? Because to say you are going to abolish it on good authority and you are not going to look for another source of revenue to replace it, but you're going to cut on expenditure, it so suggests that you've identified one. Have you been able to identify one?
Mr. Chairman, the quality of expenditure matters. I have said here, and I'm on record to have said that as part of our short-term measures, we will indeed implement a careful but a strong expenditure-based front-loaded fiscal consolidation agenda without hurting growth and the vulnerable. The vulnerable obviously means protecting social protection. Mr. Chairman, I'm a social democrat. My party, the NDC, is a social democratic party. We stand by our ideals. We will not be the ones to hurt the vulnerable. We will protect the vulnerable in our society. Our expenditure cut will be careful, will be done in a way where the vulnerable will be protected. And I've said the quality of expenditure matters. It matters in the sense that expenditure must drive inclusive growth. And so if the expenditure is wasteful and it's not properly targeted and it's not achieving the desired outcome, then you have to relook at it. So we'll be guided. Remember, aside my professional expertise, I'm also a politician. I have won a mandate, and my constituency is a rural constituency. I understand the people of Ghana. I understand the needs of the vulnerable. I understand the dynamics of the political economy. I have monitored Ghana's economy for close to 20 years, 2 decades. I understand its trends, and I can assure you that whatever policy that we will introduce it in such a way that it will drive inclusive growth and help all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The ranking member is really enjoying the answers to the question. We may now move on with Honorable Mahama Ayarga.
Honorable Matufosun, you have been talking about cutting down on expenditure. You've repeated that several times this morning. Is the reduction in the number of ministers and the reduction in the number of existing ministries, is that part of the measures being taken at the highest levels to cut down on expenditure?
Mr. Chairman, the size of government matter. It feeds into the expenditure framework. Reducing government ministries from 30 to 23 gives you a savings of 7. 7 bureaucratic agencies. 7 bureaucratic agencies comes with its own cost. Therefore, it is part of the envelope. So straight away you can see the envelope. Today, the Ministry of Finance will have to populate the budget as approved by Parliament for expenditure in advance of appropriations. It has, as part of it, 30 ministries. Immediately they have to realign to 23. So straight away, you have cost centers of 27 that you have to eliminate. Some are fixed, but they are variable costs that you immediately cut. And so you can understand that as part of the government's policy to cut down expenditure, we have already begun. And I'm sure in the next budget, you will be very impressed with us, what some of the things we will do. I don't want to preempt it. I'm not a minister yet. I will count on you to approve me very fast so that I can start the work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your last question.
My last question is, do you have any doubts about any of our commitments to abolish any of the taxes? Are we reneging? Is there any conversation in the circles of government? Is there any doubt in our mind about any of the taxes that we said we will abolish?
Mr. Chairman, certainly no. Certainly no.
Thank you very much. I will take a question from Honorable Ampimnyako.
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations to Honorable Dr. Matufosun. But I am impressed with your responses so far, a clear indication that you are ready to help reset Ghana. But I have a quick question. The previous government, in the process of introducing e-levy, abolished road tolls. As you have committed to remove e-levy, would you consider to bring back road toll collections? And what is your take on property rate collections as well? Because they attempted to centralize it and they reversed it with the previous government attempted centralization of property rate collections, and they reversed it with the explanation that there were some challenges.
Thank you very much for your question.
Road toll and property rate?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, the previous government indeed removed the road toll. But getting to the end, they signaled that road toll is coming back. Mr. Chairman, they submitted to Parliament, it was not laid, a concession agreement with the company to reintroduce the road tolls. I have a copy. Mr. Chairman, the NDC indicated from day one that the road toll will come back. We are not running away from it. In fact, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, at the time, the minority leader, said that the NDC promises to bring back the road toll. The Hansard will bear us out. We have not run away from that fact. So, I can assure you, we are a party that sticks to our promises. And whatever we have promised to do, we'll do just that. If the road toll is a way to raise revenue, we'll raise the revenue. And the road toll, if you use the road, you have to pay a toll. And it's all over the world. Ghana won't be the first country, won't be the last one. You have to contribute towards the road maintenance. And so the only thing is we have to collect the revenue effectively and efficiently so that we can plow it towards the maintenance of those roads. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will take a question from Gideon Buaku. Dr. Gideon Buaku.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the honorable nominee per CV is affiliated to the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Business School. In fact, he signed up for the program at the time I was seconded to the office of the Vice President. So as a lecturer of the business school, I think it is appropriate that on behalf of the KNUST Business School, I congratulate you. And I can see my colleague, Professor Jonathan Annan, sitting behind you to show moral support. Mr. Honorable nominee, on 3rd April